Welcome back to Elevation 44. I'm B for those of you who are new. Welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back, family. Today we are diving into another weekly astrology report. And I promise my hair was not this big this morning, but okay, I just had to go with it. So hopefully, the big hair is not too distracting in this video, okay? But this week, on another note, this week is not going to be a very comfortable week for a lot of people. This is a really hard week energy-wise, especially if you have a lot of natal planets sitting in the sign of Aries or in the sign of Libra, or if you have some of your bigger energies sitting in those two signs, okay? And I'm gonna get into it in a minute. First, I will say if you are new here, like I said, welcome to my channel. I bring you these weekly astrology reports so that you can have a better idea of the energies that are at play during the week, what to look out for, what to capitalize on. It just helps you avoid any potential traps, like, you don't want to blindly walk into something. You kind of know what is at play, and it can help you navigate through your week. So that is the goal of these weekly astrology reports. So I am trying to just literally, I'm not giving you everything that's happening. I'm trying to give you the most important things to keep in mind for the week, okay? And this week is a toughie, okay? This week what happens this week sets the tone for like the rest of the year. October and November are going to be particularly tough in terms of energy, and it's just kind of like what's going to be carried out through the rest of the year. And I want to say the title of this video will be drama, okay? Because this is a week that's highlighting control and control issues, and there's just so much going on. So let's just get right into it, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about is Saturn, okay? So Saturn has been retrograding in the sign of Capricorn since May 11th, okay? And Saturn hanging out in Capricorn. So Saturn is all about our time, our structures, our restrictions. It's all about our external facing selves, our career. It's about business. It's about government. It's about our foundations. This is what Saturn represents. And it being in the sign of Capricorn, it's, that's its home sign. That is where all of these things are expressed as well. So when Saturn dialed back, because Saturn briefly did a stint in Aquarius. So it came out of Capricorn initially and went into Aquarius, okay? And Aquarius is all about that, that futuristic forward movement, originality, technology, innovation, just kind of pushing the boundaries and, coming up with something unique and different. And it's new, it's the newness, right? But it had to dial back. It had to come back into Capricorn to finish some unfinished business, right? To tend to the unfinished business. So when a planet goes retrograde, it takes the energy and it pushes it internally. Instead of it being external, it's coming inside. It's being directed within. So when Saturn turned inward in May, right, it was helping sort out karma. And in a lot of the areas that I was talking about when I described Saturn, in our government, in work life, in big business, in our foundations, in our structures, in our time, our restrictions, a lot of karma was being sorted out. And we are seeing the same term coming up over and over again through Libra season, where we talk about balancing out the scales. And sorting out the karma is, in a sense, that balancing out the scales in those particular arenas, right? But what it also caused us to do when it went retrograde is it made us really face our internal fears or anxiety when it comes to restrictions or limitations. in regards to the authority figures that are present in our lives, that are running the structures and ruling certain things, and what that means in terms of our freedom. Because as again, Saturn goes into Aquarius, it's about that newness, it's about the freedom, originality, like expansion. It's really about pushing the limitations into uncharted territory, okay? So it really allowed us to dial back and inwardly reflect on those things. And that is important to note, because when Saturn goes into Aquarius, then we are really going to really push forward, okay? So this is what it really was honing in on for the last couple of months as it was retrograding back through Capricorn. Now, a thing to keep in mind is that this week, the Saturn is going direct on, like I said, September 29th, okay? So now it's coming back, and now it's heading back towards Aquarius. It's gonna do its final stint through Capricorn, and it's heading out because it allowed us to have that time for that inward reflection. Now, what's going on this week is that in addition to this, so when Saturn or any other planet turns direct, or the planets move in a specific way, the energy of that particular planet is going to be highlighted, especially these big heavy hitting planets. So we're really going to feel that energy. So the impact of that Saturn energy is really going to be present throughout the week. It's also going to be making a very hard and direct square to Mars that is hanging out in the sign of Aries, and Mars is also retrograding at this time, and Mars is not happy to be retrograding, okay? And we've talked about this week after week if you follow me on this platform, okay? So what happens is Mars, which is our personal action, our drive, our force, right, is already just literally having tension in itself, because it's the planet of action, of domination, of force, of forward movement. It's having to dial back and inwardly reflect that energy, right, and slow down, okay? So that's why I say it's already having tension with itself. Now, with it squaring Saturn in particular, Saturn, this is an extra level of tension, and it brings down more frustrations because there are more limitations or restrictions that come in the way of that. So Mars was already being restricted, and now it's being even more so restricted with this tension that is happening with Saturn, okay? The next thing that is happening this week that is pretty big is the Aries full moon, okay? And this brings a lot of challenging energy, the Aries full moon, because, and this is happening on October 1st, okay? So just so you know, it's bringing a lot of challenging energy because, of course, you know, a full moon is always, when you have a full moon, the moon is always opposing the sun, right? And so what we have here is an opposition of the sun in Libra, which is all about, you know, balance and harmony and justice and kind of others, right? Focusing on the outward relationships, with the moon in Aries, which is very, very individually focused, just about self. It doesn't have a lot of balance. It's either one extreme or another. So there's already that conflict that's happening there, right? Between those two different polarities or those two opposing energies. But the one thing that Libra, when I said at the beginning of the video that if you have a lot of Libra energy or heavy Libra natal energy, that you will feel this, is because Libra, that energy tends to want harmony, balance, peace, okay? It does not want to rock the boat. It's wants to keep everything very even keel and very easy. It doesn't want to face those hard conversations or conflicts. It hates confrontation, right? But this Aries full moon, because of the different transits that are happening at the time of the full moon, it's going to be all about confrontation. It's going to be all about confrontation of self. And that Libra energy doesn't like to focus on self. It likes to focus on everything outside of self, right? And so there is just going to be a lot happening there. You're going to have to deal with yourself. You're going to have to deal with your ego, and anything that's out of balance within yourself. You're going to have to use this Sun and Libra energy to help you balance that out, okay? So it's really like making your internal world come into balance, okay? So anything that you don't want to face is definitely going to be highlighted during this time. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. And I'm not going to go too deep into the Aries full moon because I'm going to have an entirely separate video for the Aries full moon. So you're just going to have to stay tuned and watch that if you want to know more about it. But the one thing I will say is that this Aries full moon will be conjuncting Mars, Chiron, and Lilith, okay, in Aries. That is a nasty combination of energy, okay? Mars is retrograding, like I said, so Mars is already frustrated because Mars can't go at the speed that Mars wants to, and Mars is having tension with Saturn. Then we're talking about Chiron, which is our, the wounded healer. It's our deepest wounds, okay? And that is also retrograding. That's going to cause us to really have to really inwardly reflect, and all of those wounds are going to be coming up to the surface. So people are going to be triggered, okay? Triggered, and that's why I said it was drama this week, okay? And then the last thing is Lilith, right? And Lilith is our raw, primal, feminine energy. This is what we considered probably our chaotic energy, okay? So when you talk about combining Lilith, okay, this chaotic energy with our wounds, our deepest wounds, and that internal frustration and anger of Mars being in retrograde, this is an explosive energy that is happening here, okay? So, and this is all conjuncting the moon, which is our emotions, our deep inner self. So having all of this going on at the same time is going to be tough for a lot of people, okay? So just keep this in mind, all right? All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna talk about, and I'm gonna try to make this really quick so that this video isn't too long, is that Venus is going to be moving into Virgo. Now, Venus, which is all about our love, our relationships, our resources, like our finances and our material possessions and all of that good stuff, is moving into Virgo after it's been in Leo for the past couple of weeks. Now, with Venus being in Leo, it has been all about focusing on us, but kind of like, being in the spotlight, being social, being having a need for admiration, and just that dreamy, being in that kind of like that dreamy idealistic space when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to our resources and all of that other good stuff. It just gives you like this dramatic flair and kind of like a dreamer's energy around that. But with it moving into Virgo, we're getting into the details, okay? So whatever we dreamed up when Venus was in Leo, and in terms of our relationships, in terms of our resources, we are literally going to be focused on the details of what that looks like, and we're setting the bar high. We have high expectations in these areas, okay? So there's a seriousness that comes in with this particular energy. Now, Venus will also be trining or having harmony with Mars that's in Aries, okay? So before things get all serious, before Venus moves into Virgo to get into those details, it's going to have, Venus in Leo is going to have that last little bit of harmonizing energy with Mars in Aries. And so we will get a boost in sociability, charisma, and it will also help us to lock in some of those ideals when it comes to our relationships, our finances, our creativity, and all that good stuff that Venus helps us focus on, okay? Now, the next big thing, or the last big thing that I'm going to talk about for the week that is happening, is that Mercury is going to be moving into Scorpio. So there's a lot of movement this week. A lot of planets are moving. And when I say that these planets moving, we will feel it. We feel these energies. And a lot of the times we start to feel the energies before they even, they move or they turn direct or anything like that. So if you have been already feeling these energies, you're not crazy. It happens. You will feel these things, in advance of it. And let me tell you, that whole nasty combination of the Mars, Chiron, and Lilith combination, and I already started to get I got an introduction or initiation into that energy last week with control issues. So I was just like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be a fun couple of weeks, okay? But you will start to get a lot of these things coming in prior to the actual movement happening, okay? So if you're energy sensitive, you will feel that. Okay, so the last thing I will say is, again, Mercury is moving into the sign of Scorpio. Now, Mercury has been in Libra for the past couple of weeks, and basically Mercury, which is our communication, our thinking, our perception, the way we rationalize, the way, we think, our intellect, has basically been in a space of bringing fairness, justice, balance to the situation. Again, it's all about this whole energy of balancing the scales, okay? Now, with it moving into Scorpio, it's very interesting because Scorpio is all about exposing what's beneath the surface. It's uncovering the truths. It's ripping off, like ripping the curtain and showing who's behind the curtain and showing the puppet master pulling the strings, okay? So the interesting about this Mercury moving into Scorpio energy is, while the sun is still in Libra, is this whole sense of balance, justice, and fairness. With the exposing of the truth, we will see some things air out during this time, okay? Things, even in your personal life, things will be coming to the surface. Things on a very public level can be coming to the surface. People are literally showing what is behind the curtains, and I'm here for it, okay? So that is the interesting thing about Mercury moving into Scorpio. The downside to this energy, though, is that control and manipulation is very, very high in this. So the benefits is that you can expose truth and go beneath the surface. The other side is that, control and manipulation are highlighted. So then it's already adding to this whole theme of us dealing with control issues and a lot of things happening internally that we need to face within ourselves, okay? Woo, okay? And then the last thing I will say about Mercury is that it's currently in the pre-retrograde phase, which means on October 13th, it will be going into retrograde, okay? And that's going to be an interesting retrograde only because of all the other energies at play at this particular time. And not only that, is that it will be in retrograde during the entire US election cycle, right? Presidential election season. And then it won't be stationing back until November 3rd, which is actually election day. So I feel like there's going to be a bunch of things happening around that. We shall see what comes about with that. But, that is really what's going to be happening. So the pros of the week, the things that we should dive into this week for sure: shadow work, researching, uncovering truths, getting beneath the surface, right? And then honing in on details around our relationships and our resources. How does it look? What does it feel like? Getting into the nitty gritty, and also making it not only idealistic, but realistic, okay? So keep that in mind, because sometimes we can be too much on the perfectionist, idealistic side, especially with that Virgo energy, okay? So you don't want to, completely be too far on one end or the other, right? Balance, balance, balance. The cons for this energy, or the things to watch out, challenges for this week, is that you can be feeling a lot of internal anger, again, because Mars is retrograding, frustrations because of that tension with Saturn in terms of limitations and restrictions, coming up with control issues against authority figures, or even in your own personal life and relationships. And also destructive habits and behaviors can come to the surface, and that has a lot to do with that whole Lilith, Chiron, and Mars combination with the moon in Aries. There's just, like I said, a whole lot going on. So the herb that I recommend you working with this week, because things are hot, 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 I really will again recommend eucalyptus, because eucalyptus helps, kind of calm and ease you down and just kind of brings things down a notch. But if you do want to tap into more of that fiery boost of that Aries energy from the full moon and all that fire energy, I would definitely maybe get some ginger, incorporate some ginger. Again, with eucalyptus, you cannot ingest it internally, so only external use for that, but ginger can be taken internally, okay? The crystal that I would recommend you working with this week is, to ground and balance and help temper it out, hematite, okay? Grab you a piece of hematite and just anytime you're feeling too enraged, too like hot, just grab that piece of hematite and bring you down to keep you balanced, okay? So those are my recommendations for this week. And next week, Pluto is going direct. Like I said, this rest of the year is going to be really tense. Really tense. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's gonna be a tense next couple of weeks, October and November for sure. So I hope you found this helpful. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Are you feeling this energy? Any control issues been highlighted in your particular world? I know it has been in mine. What else in this video resonated? Just leave it in the comments down below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you can be up to date when I drop that Aries full moon video, because that is coming next, okay? So I will see you all next one. Have a good week.